Welcome everybody to Project You, Project Me, speaking to another fantastic partner today so we can understand a little bit more of how you get into roles within their business, if you like. So today we've got the fabulous Tom Fulton, who's been a partner with us and his business for nearly 2 years now. So just signed up again, which is fantastic, and long may that continue. But I won't steal any of Tom's thunder. As we go into this, Tom, can you just tell me a little bit about yourself, kind of where you grew up, what happened, in the military and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So originally from Chester in the northwest of England, joined the military. It was pretty much a fluke, really. I was 16 years old, dropped out of sixth form. One of my mates said to me, I'm going to join the military, you should join as well. And this was back in 2004. So Iraq had kicked off. And I was like, are you absolutely mad? I'm not joining the military. He said, no, there's loads of jobs you can do. So I went into a recruitment office and the guy said to me, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to join the army. And he said, yeah, but what job do you want? And I said, soldier. And he said, no, what job in the army do you want? And I went, I don't know, mate. I don't know anything about the military. And he just said, are you thick? And I said, I haven't got a clue. So I did the aptitude test. They printed out a list of jobs. And the top job on the list said military police. Which obviously isn't very a popular job in the military. But at the time I said, there's police in the military. He said, yeah. So I'll do that. And he went, whoa. He said, everyone hates the military police. I said, why? And he said, well, you start one rank higher than everybody else and you get paid more than everyone else. I went, I'll do that. That sounds absolutely fantastic. So I served 9 years, joined in 2005, left in 2014, deployed to Iraq in 2008, Afghanistan in 2012. Obviously the RMP get a lot of stick, and rightly so in a lot of cases, but what it does do, it gives you a great overview of the people within the military. If you're an engineer, you might join the engineers and work with engineers, and that's it. Being a military police officer, I got attached to multiple different units across exercises and deployments overseas, and you really get to know these people in these companies and units that you're working with, and they're absolutely brilliant. And what it teaches you to do is make friends quick. Because on a Friday and Saturday night, you're on duty arresting people, and on a Monday morning, you're on an exercise with them in the same vehicle. So it gives you a really, really good overview of the people in the military. So I left in 2014, really struggled when I left. I had no idea which direction I wanted my life to go in. So I ran away. I went traveling for a year, which is obviously fantastic. Came back, went to university for 3 years because I found out that the military pay your tuition fees if you've served longer than 8 years. And then finished university and kind of stumbled into recruitment, which is where I am now. So,
yeah, fantastic. So it's quite a story there. First of all, I'm not sure I could have done the red berry.
I don't blame you.
But it's nearly a similar story. I just walked past a careers office and walked in for some random reason. Kind of my life probably wasn't going anywhere when I was young. But I had the same question. I was going to join the infantry. Simply because the guy behind the desk said, yeah, we need some people in the infantry. Now, I'd have left the military if I'd have joined the infantry, I can't say it, because wet in a hole wasn't for me. But next time I went in to sign up, they went, why are you doing that? You've got these, GCSE. Why don't you join the Royal Signals? Because the guy was obviously Royal Signals. And off I went a few weeks later. So that's kind of my story. But interesting to hear about all your tours and the kind of different kind of the way that you see things, because I suppose I played a lot of football in the military, so I met a lot of people from other corps, but I never knew what any of them did. I was all Royal Signals. This is the bigger world, but really, it's actually quite a small thing. So, all interesting there, and interesting also about you went away for a year because I keep trying to get you onto our podcasts and our shows, and I can never get you because you're always on holiday. So,
I do love holiday. I do love a holiday. I'm not gonna lie. Well, the year away was. It was really important for me. It was my decompression. I left. So I joined the military at 17. I left when I was 26, and that's all I'd ever known.
Yeah.
And I'd only been surrounded by people in the military. All my friends were in the military, and then I went away traveling and just met all these different people from different backgrounds and people that I traditionally thought I didn't like and be like, oh, hippies. And then I met these people. I thought, actually, you're really quite sound and quite chilled. And then I ended up going to university because I met all these people who were going to university or in university and speaking to them. And I thought, you're not as clever as I thought you might be. So maybe I should go to university. And university was a massive learning curve for me, but it just taught me that all you need to do is try hard. Trying hard is the easiest thing in the world to do. You don't have to be naturally gifted to try hard. You just have to try hard. And I absolutely loved university, and it was a massive step in my transition, really, to immerse myself in an educational environment and see younger people in a different way. And it was really, really important. I'm really glad I did it.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's you know, you talk about hippies though. You're allowed to be a hippie in the military now.
You are now.
Grow your hair as long as you want. You can have a beard. So it's all but we'll move on now to some serious stuff. So you've now you're employed with Searchability. So again, for everybody, you know, you can see Searchability on our website. Clearly, you could go to their website. But just tell me a little bit about what that is.
Yeah, so Searchability, it's an international recruitment company. They're absolutely enormous. So we've got an office in Sydney, we've got an office in Texas. What Searchability actually do is IT digital. So it's IT digital recruitment company. So it's software developers and computer programmers and things like that. Now, I started with Searchability in June 2022, just doing regular recruitment. So I worked on the contracts team, getting my head around how to do recruitment. And I wasn't focusing on ex-military at all. One of my best friends, who's coming to the end of his 22, rang me one day and said, "What the hell am I going to do when I get out?" And I felt awful because I couldn't really help. I worked in IT. I was like, "Mate, well, what do you want to do? You can do anything you want." And he was like, "No, what am I going to do when I get out?" And I said, "Well, I know Amazon, BT, and Barclays recruit heavily from the military. I see it all over LinkedIn. Maybe try something like that." And then I walked away from the conversation feeling terrible because this guy, I'm not going to name him because he'll throw it in my face, but he can genuinely do whatever he wants. He's done 5 tours of Afghanistan, got a Queen's Gallantry Medal for bravery. He's looked after 3 of the last 4 prime ministers when they've visited Afghanistan. He's a very, very capable guy. And so I walked away from the conversation and thought there must be other companies out there that want to take on ex-military, surely. So I did a bit of research, came across the Armed Forces Covenant, which is now being signed by 11,469 companies last time I checked. So I started reaching out to these companies saying, "I'm a veteran, I work in recruitment, you've got these vacancies on your website, would you consider a veteran for these vacancies?" And recruitment's a very hard industry, and doing business development and starting to work with companies is extremely hard to do. Exactly. All of a sudden, doors started opening. Companies were saying, "Absolutely, we'd love to take on more ex-military. We want to take on engineers or drivers or logistics people." So the idea basically got so big that I was initially trying to keep it within IT, but it was just growing arms and legs. So in December 2022, I approached my managing director, a guy called Martin Blythe, who's absolutely fantastic. And I said, "Martin, this idea is getting too big for IT now." And he said, "Right, start within Hirecracker." So Hirecracker are our sister division. It's a non-IT division, so it can work in any industry, any sector. So I started that last January on my own, reaching out to companies and trying to do business development and starting to get things going. And it basically exploded because there is a real desire out there to take ex-military personnel on. I then found out that there's also financial incentives that are available from the government and hiring candidates direct from the military. So the easiest way to explain it is, obviously, we're a recruitment agency and there's a fee to what we do. So say, for example, I get a company who want to hire you. The company pay me 15% of your annual salary as a fee to find you. However, if you're direct from the military, the company doesn't have to pay your national insurance contribution for the first 12 months of your employment, which is a saving of 13.8% of your annual salary. So it works out after a 12-month period, the company have only paid 1.2% agency fee. So it's absolutely remarkable. So obviously I was just doing this on my own, and it got to the stage where I had so much business on that I couldn't do it on my own anymore. So I approached Martin and said, "I want to take on somebody to work alongside me." He said, "Go ahead." So I hired a guy called Josh, who's now part of the military division as well. Josh is ex-RLC, served 6 years in the RLC and then 3 years as a reserves in the Rifles. He's on board now. He's doing incredibly well. He's got a number of clients he works with. I then took on a girl called Georgia, whose old man was in the military for 32 years. She has a really, really interesting dynamic because she's not a veteran, but she grew up on military camps and her dad getting posted in deployments. And it's really, really good story of how the military affects the wider service community as well as not just veterans. And then I've recently taken on a guy called David, who's in the Fusiliers for 10 years. So he's just started about 2 weeks ago. So the idea has kind of exploded. So now we all work with forces-friendly companies, typically companies that sign the Armed Forces Covenant. And we just try and get ex-military people into good employment. we're different from so many agencies because we genuinely care about the talent pool we represent. We're not just doing this for the money. We're not just trying to get fees out of companies and then forgetting about people. We won't work with companies if we don't think they're a good fit. We won't work with companies if we submit a candidate and they don't ever give us feedback on that candidate, because we don't want to mess people around. So we'll literally just say we're not working with you anymore. But like I said, there is a real appetite in the UK to take ex-military people on. I describe the ex-forces community as an invisible talent pool. Because people don't know how to write CVs. They may have never interviewed for a job in their life. They'll read a job description, and if they don't tick every single box on that job description, they don't apply for the job, which is absolutely crazy. So we act as an interface really between really good companies who want to hire ex-military and really good candidates that are looking for their job in the civilian sector.
Yeah, and we can vouch for the quality that you bring, because we've worked with you for a while now, and we can see that care and that wanting to do good kind of social value piece as well. And of course, it makes it even more special that you've been there, so you kind of understand the emotion of it all. We've just signed actually a partnership with Career Pursuit, so we're going to have our own magazine coming out. Not as it's called, Career Pursuit, but we're the major sponsor or the sole sponsor of it, to help families, spouses into roles and things like that. So we'll probably be able to get you in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
To do a piece, I've got no doubt. But when you're looking for, you're saying you've got lots of different arenas and things like that. What are you looking for in a service leaver coming through, if you want to look for service leavers?
People who put themselves out there is fantastic. Like it's so hard to find these people. People need to take more chances. They need to put their CV on job boards. The amount of people that leave the military and don't become a hunter, that they sleepwalk through this whole thing and just think, hopefully I'll get a job somewhere. You need to put yourself out there. You need to get your CV onto job boards, CV Library or Indeed or Reed, because then people like me will be able to find you. You need to take chances by applying for these jobs, even if you don't think that you tick all the boxes. The job of a recruitment consultant is, I'll speak to a company and they'll give me a job title that they're looking for, and they'll give me a target that's this big. It's my job to make this target this big. So when they say we want somebody who's got a degree, 10 years experience and this certain qualification, I'll then go back to them and say, okay, if I find somebody that's got 5 years experience and hasn't got a degree but has got this qualification, would you want to see them? They always say yes. Of course they do. They give you a unicorn. You're never going to find a unicorn. So people need to take a bit more chances out there, trust themselves, evaluate what they've done in the past, and think to themselves, how is that going to be applicable for roles that I do in the future? One thing, you'll see it all the time, is CVs that I read, that it looks like they're applying for a job in the military, because they talk about all of their military experience, but they don't relay it to the future opportunities. The CV's got to point in the direction of your future as much as showcase everything you've done in your past. Well, people just to be a bit more confident. The candidates I speak to are absolutely phenomenal. But some of these people are genuinely brilliant. And I've got millions of examples of people I spoke to. There was a lieutenant in the Navy that sent me a CV and said, will you have a look at my CV for me and let me know what you think? And I was like, absolutely. And it was awful. It just had the title of her job in the Navy and the years that she'd done them. And I rang her and I said, oh, forgive me, I was in the Army. What the hell does a Navy navigator do? And she said, well, it was my job to plan the journey of the ship from point A to point B. I said, okay, well, how much did the ship cost? And she said, like £1 billion. And I said, okay, how many people were on board? And she said, 150. I said, so you were personally responsible for the safety of 150 people's lives and a piece of equipment that cost £1 billion, and you haven't put it in your CV? And she said, well, no, that was the Navy. It's like, it wasn't the Navy. You're the Navy navigator. If you'd hit an iceberg, they'd have all turned around to you and gone, absolutely, what the hell's going on? Yeah. And she's like, should I put that on my CV? Absolutely, you should put it on your CV. Absolutely.
Of course, yeah. And so when, we're looking at breaking down individuals, I know that you do a lot of that. So as an individual coming through, are you looking for anybody, any age limit, range, salary, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, anybody. I think the way, and this isn't by design, the way it's happened for me personally, I work with a lot of organizations, a lot of companies that are looking for more entry level people. Okay. So people who they're probably between 20 and 30 on a salary from 25 to 35. but these companies offer full training. So it makes so much sense for them to take on an ex-forces candidate who is looking for their first step in the civilian sector. They haven't got any qualifications in this field, but the company is just looking for somebody who's going to work hard. Like, genuinely, I speak to companies and say, what is it that you're looking for? And the amount of times they say somebody's going to turn up to work on time and somebody's going to work hard. And I'm like, is that it? Is that what you're looking for? And that's actually really, really attractive to companies at the moment, that the UK civilian sector is not in a great condition. And I was speaking to a client the other day, and he said he hates football matches on a Sunday afternoon because he knows that the lads that he hires are going to go out and get drunk and they won't turn up on Monday. And it blew my mind. I was like, well, that's absolutely, how would you not turn up to work on the Monday? Even it's not unreasonable to have a few drinks on a Sunday, but then still getting to work on a Monday. It's absolutely crazy. So that's how typically I work now. Josh and Georgia have got their own clients at the moment. Josh works with massive organizations who are looking for logistics managers and project managers and higher salaried stuff. But the way I've got some clients I've been working with for absolutely ages now. One client has taken on about 50 ex-military people through me alone, and these just fill my time. So I kind of like to help the people out there whose CVs are terrible, who have never interviewed for a job in their life. Like, genuinely, when I find a CV of a candidate in a certain area I'm looking for, and it just says the Army 2019 to 2024, I'm like, brilliant. This is exactly the kind of candidate I can help. So that's where I normally fall. But as an organisation, we cover everything, really. Cover everything.
Yeah. Interesting to know for the viewers as well, or the listeners, to just be able to open up and come straight to you, no matter what or where they believe they are. And that's important. You picked up on an interesting point. I speak to, as you know, many companies just like yourself, and the person to fit in is generally their number one objective.
Yeah.
And this is why we do a lot of stuff on soft skills with people when writing about CVs, because actually the fit, if you're a good fit and you can show this connection on your CV, so if someone can believe in you and buy you, then you're going to get a whole lot more success very, very quickly. The soft skills more interesting in some ways, and it's probably more likely to be in the reader.
Yes.
And a complete guarantee that you're going to fit with all the hard skill and stuff like that. The reader will have lots of soft skills, just like the candidate will, and that for me creates a lot of connection early in a CV. So a little bit of a tip for those that listening there. It's interesting, and we don't see soft skill, that kind of skill, too much in CVs from military people because they maybe lack emotion.
Yes.
Important. So to finish, Tom, clearly people will be kind of chowing at the bit now to, how do I get in touch? How do they get in touch with Tom Fulton?
So multiple ways. Obviously, LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a massive tool. I talk about LinkedIn to every single candidate I speak to on the phone, and they're either all over it or they've got plans to be all over it. It's a very, very powerful tool, LinkedIn. It's really, really powerful. You're an absolute genius on LinkedIn. I'm not very good. I'm not very good on social media, so it's a learning curve for me. But connect with me on LinkedIn. You can email me, thomas.fulton@hirecracker.com, which you'll be able to find on our website. You'll be able to call me. My number's on the website as well. And just ask questions. Like, I honestly don't care if anybody rings me or messages me on LinkedIn and asks the most silly question in the world. For them, it might appear silly, but it's probably not. It's probably a straightforward question. And the service community it's a fantastic community. Genuinely brilliant, and it will be very similar in blue lights, which I know that you guys are working with now, which is brilliant. Everybody will help each other out. Like, if you message somebody from a company that you've never spoken to in your life, but you know they're ex-forces, and just say, I would love to come and work for your organization. Would you give me any advice? Who's the best person to speak to? People will help, because shoes on the other foot, in 10 years' time, if that service leaver is an operations manager in a massive company and somebody messages them and says, I've just done 22 years, I'd love to come and work for your company. Have you got any advice? They'd go, of course I have. You need to speak to so-and-so in HR, or doing this or doing that. Just put yourself out there and ask questions. People are more than happy to help.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And for everyone listening, make sure you just get in contact with Tom. And of course, if you go on our website and look under Hirecracker, that's on the main page, there's a direct inquiry form, and I know that goes straight through to Tom himself. So make sure you do that as well. Well, Tom, that's been a brilliant kind of 30 minutes, and goes so quick. information about you personally, so people can personally get to know you. I think that's important in a connection when you're speaking with people. So you already know Tom, so get in touch. But Tom, thanks very much for being a partner. We know that there's an awful lot going on in the background, and there's a lot of links to all the companies that we're all working with, and that's what collaboration is all about. But personally, from me and from the FTG, Mandy and the rest of the team, we just want to thank you for continuously coming. You attend every single live show, which means a lot to us, because it's those live shows that are really the kickstart and really what makes it is the FTG as big as it is, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And long may that continue. And you're actually front and center of all of that. So thank you so much. It wouldn't work without great people like yourself. And of course, it brings you back to that point you made just before. It's all about helping each other, and if we can all do that for each other, then everybody's going to have a much more successful transition. And we're all here to create the solving of the transition, should we say. That's our mission at the end of the day. So thank you for coming on this. Thank you for supporting us, and I've got no doubt we will see lots more of each other in the future.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you very much as well. I mean, you and Mandy and the rest of the team are absolutely fantastic with us and help us as much as we need, which is obviously fantastic. So thank you very much for everything.
Okay, mate. Well, stay safe, and
stay safe.
See you soon.
Cheers, John.